What is your record on alternative transportation, and what are your proposals for expanding mass and alternative transportation, including bikes, buses, trails, and sidewalks, after the defeat of the transit tax in May?
Basically, of course, the fabulously popular trail started in my administration. I was trying to get it started back in 1991 when I was on the city council, but I was about 10 years ahead of my time. So I got elected mayor in 2001, and then we started putting together a program to get the trail system built. This was modeled after Madison, Wisconsin, and it's worked beautifully. It was a rough start at first because people thought it was a waste of money. Now it has a life of its own, and the real estate around the trail system is some of the hottest real estate in town. That alternative transportation system has to be continued and expanded, and I'm very glad that Walton's have funded the Greenway Trail going from here to Bella Vista. That's going to be phenomenal. As far as expanding other alternative situations, I think we need to, one of the first things we need to do is rebuild College Avenue, not stop with these from Rock to Maple that we did when I was in office. Go ahead and expand that beautification and plan for an even better job to have bike lanes or some kind of trail or some kind of alternative transportation built in the rebuilding of College Avenue, but also plan for alternative transportation so we can put it in public transportation, I should say, so we plan for pull-outs for clean fuel buses and or trolleys. That's up for discussion. But when we rebuild College Avenue, we need to plan for more than what we just did. This was a good first start, but we have more room up north to do better work for more public and alternative transportation. And if more we can get people on bikes and out of their cars, the more fossil fuel we don't burn, the healthier we are. And that brings more of a creative vibe into town. And when people come to Fayetteville, Arkansas, and they see this trail system, they think this is a town I can live in. Procter & Gamble moved where they are because of the trail system. And they recruit their employees, which don't come to Arkansas until they come to Fayetteville, they hit the trails, and they say, I can live here. And the trail system in Fayetteville has proven to be so popular. Other cities all across northwest Arkansas and other places in the state are starting to adopt the same programs. When I was in office, we did things that other cities copied. We led the way with innovation and creativity. Since I've been out of office, it's as if the other cities don't want to copy things anymore, especially this parking system downtown and this how we do business now, the back-end parking on block streets, another example of things that I don't see anybody else doing. And this kind of thinking, I know it's not a single person doing it, it's a whole collective, but as long as we keep putting out these projects, and obviously they don't work, but we don't go back and correct them, we just continue to move forward and pretend like everything's okay. We can't keep doing this in Fayetteville over another 4 years and expect that everything's going to be all right.
Well, first of all, I would like to say that I was a big proponent of the trail system. I was one of the aldermen that voted for the first funding for the trails.
That's true. So that was a great
And so later on, when I was the chair of the street committee, we put trails on the street bond program. So a lot of the funding was done through a bunch of dedicated street committee aldermen on that bond program. Now, as far as mass transit, I am a huge proponent of mass transit. I stood on the street corners with the folks pushing for mass transit because we've got to get out of the car and in the bus or on the bike, and I pushed hard for mass transit. I stood on street corners, made speeches before people, and it failed. But you know what? I'm proud of that vote. My opponent did not even vote in that election. It would not have mattered to me if he was against it or if he was for it. But to not even vote, that's like saying it really doesn't matter. And it mattered to me, and I know it mattered to you. It's where people can get on the bus and go to work. It's where the elderly can get on that bus and be moved from the grocery store back to home. And that's how important that mass transit is. We need to support that for the future of this city. I'm working with Fort Smith right now, the second and third largest cities in the state, to bring water transportation up the Arkansas River. We can move supplies and move people even up to Fort Smith and then bring everything by rail. I'm working with the Arkansas Missouri Railroad right now to try and bring passenger rail back to the city of Fayetteville and up through the region. I'm going to meet with them next week. So that's some of the initiatives that we're doing on alternative transportation.
Thank you. This is 1 minute rebuttal. Thank you. Of course, we support public transportation. something I'm proven wrong, I have the habit of correcting that publicly. So if it's been proven that I did vote in that election, then I would be very glad to have an apology from the mayor. And it turns out, when I heard last night during the debate that I hadn't voted, I thought, well, something's wrong here. Nobody could be that blatantly wrong. There must be some kind of catch here. So we went to the county courthouse today, and of course I did vote, and I voted for the transit tax. I was split down the middle about my decision because I support transit tax, and two women, one was Joyce Hale and another was a friend of mine, physical handicap, that basically talked me into supporting it. But the problem I had was putting a permanent sales tax in place, because sales tax is regressive and it hurts the lower income people most. So, but I wound up supporting it, and I did vote in that election.
Well, I have the voting records here. And if anybody would like to look at them, they're for your review. We went to the courthouse too, and we have the voting records here. I guess that's all also.
Thank you. I want to go back to the previous question just for 1 minute, because the voting record was flawed. The mayor has, when they copied those, the bottom two names on the list were left off because the scanner didn't pick up the bottom two names. Mine was one of those two names. So here is the accurate reflection of the voting record right there. And I appreciate the apology.
If that is true, I certainly apologize.
They're top one right there. They apologize for the inconvenience.